Hey, what's up, everybody? We're here on another episode from the Gutter to Greatness. And I got greatness here with me, as always. I got my brother here, Lotto, of the Triple OG brand. And he is the founder and running this company organization. But he's got a story to tell. This brother has, and he's ready to tell it all. And so, as always, we're trying to bring people who have reached certain levels of success, who have elevated, but also have worked at changing their mindset so they can move from their gutter to their greatness. But that doesn't mean that there isn't struggles and there isn't strife. And there's always going to be challenges as how we deal with them. And this brother is masterful and always willing to do what it takes to succeed and willing to help others. And I can't say enough good things about this brother, but I'm gonna let him tell you more about who he is, what he does. Just tell us what you do currently, brother, and why should anybody care?
Hey, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on, Dr. Miller, having me on this your great platform, giving me the opportunity to speak about myself and my brand. As you know, I am Lotto. I am the owner and founder of Triple OG Brand. Triple OG Brand is an acronym. It stands for the Omnipotent Opportunities of God. I was blessed with this platform through being an entertainer. So basically, I've been in the music business, about 20, 25 years now. Started out as an artist, and through being an artist, I learned how to brand myself and change with the times over time. Always learning how to rebrand myself. And part of that rebranding is when my last project I had, it was called Levi's and Chucks. And Levi's and Chucks, Chuck Taylors, basically symbolize classic material. Like, it's not going nowhere. Levi's and Chuck Taylors ain't going nowhere. That's how I saw the music that I was representing and the thought and the creativity that went into it. So on that last project, I had a song called Triple OG, and the guy Tweak Beats, who is the producer, my brother who did the production and the mixing, he sent me different versions of the song Triple OG, which is one of the last songs I recorded, and it said OOOG. I thought that was clever, and I decided to make some T-shirts to promote the song, and those T-shirts turned into the brand known as Triple OG Brand today, 10 years later. And, as you could tell, I stopped doing music once everything started taking off. And it's just, it's been one hell of a ride from there. You know what I mean? And to your question, why should anybody care? I would say this. When I put out that project, it was my last, it was it. Like, I'm not doing music anymore after this. I'm laying it all on the line. And I didn't know what God had for me on the other side of that, right? Here I am putting out music like, hey, this is my last go at this. And when I did that, it turned into something else that we're sitting here talking about 10 years later. So why should anybody care? It's because I know we all get to those points where we're like, this is it. I'm not doing anymore. And man planned and God laughed. You know what I mean? So if you're anywhere in that space, just thinking that, this is it, you never know what tomorrow brings. That's why you should care.
Right. And I think there's a lessons for people to learn from that. And it sounds like a lot of it's coming from your faith. And so like you were in music, and if I'm not mistaken, you had a pretty decent career. Would it be a mistake to say that you were making money from music?
Yeah, I was making money from music. Um, and then too, like, success is all relative, right? Because in all honesty, it's like, when you do succeed at something, it's never quite what you think it's going to look like once you get there, right?
Hmm.
From the outside, I
Right.
just saw an interview with Terrence Howard, a very successful actor, who said, I was in a movie I got paid $6 grand for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
said,
I saw that.
then he said, then I was in another movie. I think it was Crash. I got 12,000 for it. But you know, you could drive a truck and make that in a week. So, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, how successful are you? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just all relative. You know what I'm saying? And I would say that for anybody, because once you get inside the game and you get around certain people, it's like you'll start to see that, damn, maybe this guy or this female is not as successful as I thought they were. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? It's more of a smoke and mirrors thing. You know what I mean? So, financially, right? But then it might be, hey, I'm doing what I want to do, and I can pay my bills. So, you know, it's all on how you look at success. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's important about that, brother, is I feel like there's so many times that as people, we want something, we want something, we want something, then we achieve it. And when it's not exactly what we thought it was, we still don't appreciate it the same way, or we don't relish in it, or we don't uh, be mindful in the moment. And we take, almost take it for granted, even though we just accomplished something major. But often it isn't what you think. And I think of my own daughter, right? I have a 22-year-old daughter, be 23, and I think about her. I think she often has these things in her mind or in her head, that this picture, this vision, even something as small as, this is just who she is, right? So as small as she wanted to go to New Orleans, and I think she envisioned New Orleans being this all whatever amazing place, or all these fairy tale stories of how live it is and partying and crazy New Orleans is. And this is a
Right,
small scale example, right? But
right.
then she went, and she was like, it ain't even really all that. And I should have saved my money. Like, it wasn't even what I thought it should be.
She
Um,
overhyped it.
Overhyped it. But I think that's what we do with life in so many. But honestly, I wish that she still would have taken some of the what could she have taken out of that trip, and still seen something that was beautiful about New Orleans, or still the fact that she was able to go and be able to internalize and appreciate it on another level, because she got to do something that other people didn't do, versus like, it really wasn't even what I thought it was. And moving on and probably say, I'll never go back there again, versus, you know what, there probably was some dope stuff there that she missed because of her attitude towards things. And that's really what it's about, a mindset and attitude towards things.
Right. And then a lot of the allure of things are to bring us to a place that we have to come to along our journey. We have to come there. Like, we have to see that in order to
Right.
get where we're going. You know what I'm saying? So, I count it all a blessing, because, like, we didn't have fun there, but I saw something when I was there. I
Right.
experienced something when I was there. It was something that I got from that space or that culture that helped me do what I'm doing today. I would not be thinking the way that I thought had I not been there. You know what I'm saying?
And that's exactly what I'm trying to get at for folks that's listening. So a lot of what we do on this show is, how do we help somebody to change or challenge their mindset and say, you know what, if this brother could do it, I can do it. Or I hear something that's similar in his story, or I hear something that I need to take away from what he does, that I can do something different or better. But I know you didn't start off in the A doing music. I believe you are from the Ohio, right? The Ohio State, uh,
Yeah,
and
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, right? You're from the
Yeah,
Natty. So,
yeah.
so what was it like, and how did you grow up in the Natties? Like, tell us your gut of the greatness story. Like, how did you shift and transition into music? Like, how did you grow up? What were some of the things you went through growing up? Like, tell the folks about yourself.
So, yeah, so I grew up in Cincinnati, and I definitely didn't grow up in a gutter. You know what I mean? My parents, my mom and dad were together, and we lived a pretty decent life. My parents are, well, my dad is deceased, but my mom is still here. Both very smart, and my dad, he's one of eight, right? And he grew up in like the hood, and he was a basketball coach for like 20 something years. That wasn't the only thing he did. He was a businessman as well, but
Right.
his goal was to bring along the kids in the community that he came from that was impoverished, most of which did not have a dad in the home. So he was like everybody else's dad. Well, these same kids grew up as my brothers, right?
Right.
Like we played basketball together year in, year out, sometimes even on the same baseball team. So we would all spend the night over each other's house, right? So
Right.
we might have lived in the community a little bit better than the one they was living in, but we were still within each other's circumference. So
Right.
they picked up a lot of stuff from me, and I picked up a lot of stuff from them. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? So there were things that I was around and exposed to that maybe they didn't intend me being exposed to or being around, or certain mind states that I developed
Right.
that would become a part of my character. But like I said, like I was in that space because I was supposed to learn something. So my mom and dad were, my dad was always a salesman and a representative for different companies like Sprint, Marlboro, stuff like that. And my mom, she was the business manager at the Children's Hospital, right? And she was always at the hospital, always working for the hospital, whatever. So it was like they were good business people, but they were not business owners, right?
Okay.
So then you take the relationship that I learned with these guys that I grew up with, because a lot of them was in the street, but it was that mentality that brought me into being my own man business wise and not wanting to work for anybody or take that path. I wanted to be my own guy. So I learned how to be a businessman through being around these guys. You know what I mean? I learned how to enterprise, be an entrepreneur. Now I got the game from my parents. These are smart people, but I learned a lot as far as how to deal with people and network just going through that channel. So it's crazy how that mix all comes into who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Each bit and each piece makes you who you are, and how you're socialized and how you're raised and how you were developed. And what's interesting is, like, you started off with saying, you didn't raise in the gutter. And so, I always want to clarify, because the gutter, a lot of times we think of the gutter and we think of the hood or the neighborhood that is not always, where the neighborhood struggles. But the gutter often means our mindset, right? And so the gutter is, we could be in the gutter right now, even though you might live in a multi-million-dollar mansion,
Right.
and you could still be in the gutter depending on your mindset. And it's all about how do we transition from our gutter to our greatness and moving that mindset. And so, what were your challenges? So major challenges, which, let's, even if it's mindset, what got in your way, man? What got in your way from the struggles, from being great? Like when you were younger, and if you had to look back at and tell your younger self something different, or like, hey man, avoid that, or you're doing that too much, or you're too stubborn, or you don't listen, or you don't follow up, or whatever it is. What was those struggles for Lotto that really got in your way, man, from reaching the success earlier or sooner?
Well, it's the glorification of the gutter, right? Like, to me, that was like the coolest thing ever. Like, like enterprising for yourself, being in the street, running around, having a name and stuff like that. Like, that was cool to me. You know what I mean? Like, that was the thing. And like, for my surroundings, like, if you ever been to Cincinnati, like, the whole city is the hood. Like that.
Right.
Especially now that I moved away and I live here in Atlanta and I go back home, I'm like, man, this whole city the hood. Like, and I mean, it's the hood mentality is very prevalent. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's like, still at the core. So when you grow up like that, you embrace and embody that mentality. And when looking back on it, it wasn't the coolest thing to embody or embrace, you know what I mean? But that's what your mind know at the time. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that I subscribe to a lot of BS along the way. And you look back in retrospect, you're like, damn, for us, it was cool. The more women you had, like,
Right.
that was player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
same here.
the more women you had, or like, you got kids, by multiple women. You know what I mean? You get money, like, yo, I could take care of whatever. I'm the, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's kind of like looked at as a cool thing, and it's really not. I mean, no matter how much you could pay for them kids, you ain't in their life. You know what I'm saying? And giving them what they need, and it's a lot of stuff like that, man. That within the hip hop culture, drug culture, street culture, gang culture, it's a lot of stuff being subscribed to that's really put there to redirect our path to greatness. You know what I mean? And keep us stagnant and keep us subscribing to the same thing over and over and over again.
Preach.
You sing about it, you rap about it, you watch movies about it. It's entrenched in your mental. You know what I mean? So much that it's a part of you, but it's hindering your path to greatness.
Let me ask your opinion on something. Something's recent. I don't know if you've seen it on social media. Have you heard of MC? I think his name is D1,
Yeah,
D1, right?
yeah,
And so D1, he actually is pretty dope, man. I downloaded and listened to his album Uno, and the brother be kicking some knowledge. Yo, he could really spit. His beats are tight. Like it's something that whether you're into that type of music or not, he's got some fire tracks. Like he's got some good stuff. And so,
like Bizzle too.
Yeah, like he's kicking him too. He's kicking some good stuff, right? And so this brother recently, and I follow him on social media, and he was talking, and he talks a lot of conscious stuff. He talks about Christianity, talks about a lot of like if we are going to be pro-black and we're going to do, like he gave the example with Meek Mill and Ross and some other people, like and Jim Jones, I think. And he said, if you're gonna do prison reform and you're gonna do all these good things for the community, how are you also going to, and he said it with love, like he wasn't like trying to shoot darts, but he said, hey, if you're going to do all of these things and try to do the right thing, you can't play in both worlds. You got to pick a side and really be about it. And rather than in your music, you're pushing still killing, dope dealing, and all these other things, but you're saying, Jim Jones was mad and responded, this is how I get my money. And he gave a typical response that, I personally think that, I understand that's how Jim gets his money, but, Jim is nearing 50, if not 50. And Jim, I know he has a lot of swag and a lot of charisma, and he has the opportunity to influence a lot of people. And I'm sure he does some good things, but it's time to, how do you elevate? How do you grow up? Same thing with Meek and Ross. Like at the end of the day, I understand these brothers are getting money, but I have to agree with D1. I think that we got to stop pumping these negative messages out into folks' ears, the community, and use the platforms and use your music to uplift and elevate, but still do it in a way that people can identify with and connect to. And, being for the streets doesn't mean that you have to be of the streets. You can elevate the streets. You can change people's mindset. You can do things differently. What's your take on it? How do you feel about all that?
I just think that let me paint a picture for you. I had this deacon at the church. He's like my mentor to this day. And when I met him, I saw him, he had like a curl and stuff. His hair was processed curl. It just looked like the typical black preacher. You know what I mean?
He got
like
the soul glow. His
all that. But you know what I'm saying? I'm immediately turned off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is the typical, you know what I mean? But I go to his class because I'm hungry at this point. You know what I mean? I need to make a change in my life. So I go to his class, and every time I go to the class, it was the way that he would deliver this word. I had to keep coming back. Like I'm listening to the bars, and I mean it's lining up. You know what I mean? And then people's style. He was always polo down. He was always pulling up in a new whip, Corvettes, cat. He was just pulling up. So one
Right.
day he has this event at his house, and we go to his house, and you see his house. You're like, man, this dude is living crazy. The garage is set up like a Jimmy Rockets. It looks like the 50s garage, but it's three like Hot Wheels in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he got the vet, he got the T-top joint. Like, it's crazy. And I'm like, this dude's getting a lot of money. And, you know, I had to sidebar him, and I asked him about it. So he talked about it in class. And he said, the thing was, I'm in real estate. He said, I'm in real estate, and I wasn't spending as much time with the real estate as I should have. But one day, as I'm preparing a lesson for the class, something said, if you concentrated on your real estate like you do this class, you'll make way more money. And then he had another thought. You know what? It say, put God first, all things shall be added to you. So he didn't. He concentrated on teaching that class. He said he wanted to check on his real estate. It had quadrupled in worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, wow. He said, here go the thing. I made God look good. He said, we've been making the devil look so good so long. Right. That's why people are drawn to it. I made God look good to you. So you say, you know what? Maybe I could do it this way. Maybe I could just do it the right way and do it the way I'm supposed to do it and get here the same way as I would if I did it the wrong way to get there. At least I won't have to deal with no consequence. I can have a clear conscience. You know what I'm saying? And I can do it once. I ain't gonna have to do it all over again. And that was the point to me. And I think about D1 and what he's doing. I think it's great what he's doing. I think the thing is, you just got to make it look good to people. You could talk about the other side all you want. You will never hear me sitting up here talking about another brand. My job is to make Triple OG look good. The Omnipotent Opportunities of God look good. As long as I'm making that look good, I'm doing my part. And then the rest will be like, you know what? It's cool to do a brand like that. It's cool to be like this.
Right.
Because this guy. So that's the way I look at it. And that ain't nothing to D1 or anybody else. I like listening to Bizzle. And I'm like, dang, he's saying some real stuff. He made it look good to me to where I want to hear him. And it's all about balance. I want to hear the bullshit too. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? That's my argument is, though, how can some of the larger names that have this huge platform make it look good and do it the right way? So like that pastor said, he put God first and he put these things first, and he's leading with the right messages, but still getting what he's getting. He's making his money, but he's doing it in a way that he was able to bring you in, and hopefully you were able to learn something, change and transition the way that you thought because of his role model and exampleship, right? Versus if that pastor would have been, you know, doing what he's doing, and then behind the scenes, you saw this pastor was, you know, part of some scandals and part of this abuse and part of, you know, he was hustling dope on the side or something, you know, and then he said to you, Lotto, yo, this is how you get it. Like, yeah, I passed it on the front, but on the backhand side, this is how I get it, you know, and you were like, yeah, this is attractive. This is sexy to me. I want to get it too. And you know, that's what's happening is like with the Rosses of the world. I mess with Ross. Ross is, you know, I don't like the last album with him and Meek. I think Ross was just, my personal beliefs is that wasn't their best product. The beats were just too similar. I don't think they really popped the way they normally pop, you know, but that's just here nor there. But at the end of the day, why not present in a way that like the pastor presented to you, and he put God first, and like D1 is doing. And that's my argument is, or even Jim, who has, you know, Jim has been in the industry for years and has, you know, super talented and super, you know, just dope artists and swag and style and all those other things. I'm sure he's doing good things, but why does it always have to be about, you know, the negative side of things as well, instead of elevating? And that's my thing. It's like, how do we get them to those messages to match?
Well, let's say this. Okay, everything is about balance. Like, I could show you the most successful person in the world and the coolest person in the world, but behind the scenes, just as cool as they are, they got some messed up stuff about them, surrounding them over their head, right?
We all got demons. We all got demons.
Right. So everything is balanced. Like, man can't even stand up without balance. You gotta have balance, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. But the thing is, the gatekeepers make it so that we only feeding you this because it's intentional. We want you to take these messages, this energy, and we want you to go commit these crimes and live this life so that your race will not be keeping up with this race.
Right.
Period.
So, and that's the thing.
You can't say nothing.
Like, I believe, and tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know more about the industry than I do, but I believe the same people who own some of the companies own private prisons.
Correct. That was noted in the article, The Meeting That Changed Hip Hop.
Right. So if they're the music in the prisons, and if that's aligned, and if we look at the statistics, and Black men are the most incarcerated population on this planet, but also Black men are the leaders in industry within hip hop, and this is what we listen to, and we want that gutter music. We want that rap. We want that hood stuff. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna be on here fronting and say I don't like it, right? And
right.
And that's what I grew up to.
Stuff. Yeah.
But I also, is there a way to elevate and love it, but change the tide with a different thought process? And you know what? I know the consciousness went away. And I believe that's probably why, because it was designed that way. But I think that if we could, how do we come back to it? How do you start to, because honestly, the people who are those gatekeepers, as you discussed, they can't do it without the people who are making the music. They can't do it without the stars. So the stars have some kind of voice and alignment and have the ability to change the narrative if they choose to, or not. I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's a shift coming. Like, if you pay attention online, there's a reason why, D1 is getting the light. There's a reason why, people are getting back to the lyrics. There's a reason why there's a lot of representation out there saying that today's current rap music is not selling. Has the lowest selling of hip hop of all time. It's a reason why they stopped selling the rap artists, and stop signing the rap artists and start signing the Afro beats guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a reason. It's like there's a shift happening. They're preparing you for a shift. You know what I mean? Everything points to a shift happening. Like, I went to the 50 years of hip hop celebration in the Bronx, and that was at the Yankee Stadium. It was one of the most incredible things I ever seen. But what I saw there when I went out into the crowd, because I was backstage most time, but I went out into that crowd, man, and I seen 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds with do-rags and fitteds and Timberlands, and I mean, they was hip hopping, and I'm like, damn, like, it was a hip hop energy. Now we in the Bronx. Now this is where it started.
In the Mecca, right?
I never seen nothing like that. Right. Like, walking up in it's hip hop, but these guys are doing these 50 years of hip hop shows all over the country, and they selling out, and they're doing tours, right? It's a resurgence happening. And the younger guys that are making the music that's not selling as much, it's harder for them to sell venues. And I don't think that's just because of the music. I think that people who want stuff to shift is going to make sure it shift. That's what I honestly think. But it's in the best interest that it shift, right? You can't keep doing the same thing for so long. You have to have, every story has to have this in it. It can't just be a straight line, right? Like, it's losing its appeal, right? Because it's just been like this for so long. It has to do this.
No, absolutely. And you know, and I think about that, and that takes me into thinking about you as an entrepreneur, and I know that you know your journey went from Cincinnati to Atlanta, and then I know that you stopped music and put all in on this clothing brand, and so. Talk to us about your first attempt at starting the clothing line. What did that look like? Like when you first, because I know you started with t-shirts, and how did you make it into a brand?
Man, I had the logo, and our logo had derived from something else. I just wanted to take the approach that, like, when I go to shows, I'll go and see like a rock group. They might be performing, and they took a Heineken bottle and turned it into their logo. And I was like, oh, shit, that's cool. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just took something and made it yours. And I took the same approach when I did that with the Triple OG logo. They didn't even say brand. It was just OOG, you know what I mean? And you could look at the way that I did it at first. And I was just doing that to sell t-shirts. Well, 30 days later, I am a product sponsor at the Revolt Music Conference in Miami. It was the first party. It was a party for Benzino. It was like whatever magazine he had at the time. I was a product sponsor, and we put like 50 shirts and 50 bags and stuff like that. And I'm still doing music, so I'm dropping my CD in there too.
Right.
And but I was asked to do that, right? And this is 30 days after coming up with this T-shirt. So at
Right.
this time, I'm still not even thinking. I'm just thinking this is a cool T-shirt. And when I'm down there, man, I'm on this yacht, and I'm on this yacht, man, and everybody's on this yacht. And, people were coming up to me, talking to me about the shirt. Everybody wanted the shirt. I had the shirt on, but they were coming up to me like, yo, I heard you the guy with the shirt, the Triple OG shirts. We want a shirt. And this guy was like, yo, I got trucks. I got, 18 wheelers. I'll put your logo on the side of my truck. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Right.
Like, it's just a T-shirt. And the guy who connected me, my brother Littles, he's like, nah, bro, you got a brand. You got a brand. I was like, I got a brand. He's like, yo, that's a brand. So after just talking to different people who influenced me, and I sit down, had these conversations, I start to realize what it was that I had. And so then we added brand to it, Triple OG brand. Now we selling t-shirts, and then we selling hoodies, and it's going into other stuff until I get a letter saying, hey, you can't keep doing it like this. If you want to clear it, you can't keep doing it like this. So I had to go on and get um, it, like, we had to redo the logo. We had to rebrand. This is within a year. We had to rebrand. So that's what really brought us into the space of, making an entire line, because the logo was so dope that if we changed it, I didn't want it to be like, why y'all do that? It had
Right.
to be like, oh shit, y'all did that.
Right.
So it took us like a year, almost a year, to come up with a new logo that was seamless. And most people didn't even recognize what we did. But the new logo that we made was more sleek. It allowed us to do more. It allowed us to enter more spaces, and it was the best thing for us. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't know if we was gonna be over or what. Like, man, it's over. You know what I mean? If we can't recreate, it's over. You know what I mean? But I was like, man, why would God give me this and bring me this far just for it to be over? That don't make sense.
Right.
And in the 11th hour came with the new logo. The people allowed us to register the mark, and the rest is history. So when I come to those times, like I'm in one right now, and it's like, as much as I've achieved with the brand, and we've been able to get all of these placements, all these big endorsements, this, that, and the other, it's still life out here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we ain't got no major backers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been doing this out of my pocket for 10 years. So sometimes you get to them spaces and you be like, man, what we gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, how do we continue to grow a business? I mean, like, the burn rate is crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you do to scale up? But then I had to revisit that because it's like, man, why would God bring me this far just to drop me off? So it's like it's got to be more to it. I just can't see it,
Right.
and you know, it's okay not to see it because I can guarantee you, if you can see it, that ain't it.
You know, and so I wonder, did and this is just a question that comes to my mind. Like the first thought is God doing this to drop you off? Because what I heard you say is that you've created an amazing brand, but with anything, there's ups and downs and ebbs and flows. And currently, there's some struggles that you're facing that you're working through, and that you are wondering if God has brought you to this point. And is it that He brought you to this point because He wants you to use everything you learned to now do something different? Or is it that He brought you to this point because He wants you to keep going and to do this and to fight through and to, to be Job, right? To fight through all the struggles, and then
Right.
you're going to come out successful with this. And how do you know which one it is? Especially, I know this has got to be a faith question because omnipotent opportunities on God. So I know that the triple OG is, this is faith-based and faith-rooted. So how do you figure out which one it is?
Well, one thing I figured out is everything looks perfect backwards.
What does that mean?
So it don't really make sense moving forward until you look at it backwards. You know what I mean? Like every situation that you go through, it may be trouble. Like you end up in a bad space. But then when you come out on the other side of it, you be like, you know what? We went through that. But had we not gone through that, we wouldn't have this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And life is like that. It's like it make all the sense in the world when you look at it backwards. But when you going forward, it's sketchy. It's sketchy. Now, I got my ideas. I think that one thing that I feel in my spirit is that there's certain areas of the business I need to spend more time on and know better. And I need to hire more people to my weakness, right? I'm thinking that's something that needs to be done. That's what I keep hearing, but I just have to keep going that direction to see how it pans out. Because keep in mind, I never saw doing this for a living, right? I never saw it. That's why I say if you could see it, that ain't it. I never saw my blessings coming this way, ever. If you would have asked me the day before I made the t-shirt, was this going to be the route? I wouldn't have told you yes. You know what I'm saying? So, it's one of them things, I think there's things that I need to look into a little bit deeper to step my game up. And hey, I ain't perfect. And I do know that the hustle will get you to a certain space before it starts to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
The hustle will get in your way, right? So then you got to become somebody else. And that's what I'm working on now, becoming somebody else.
So what do you, I hear God speaking to you, and God telling you is what you're sharing is God is telling you that keep going with this, and that there's a breakthrough coming, and that you might need to stop, pause, and learn certain aspects so that you can become more intimately close with those pieces so that you can make the adjustments and changes that you need. And so you can also bring the right people in instead of doing too many things by yourself. And so I hear that saying, so if there was one thing that you feel like God is telling you that you need or you want to ask for, that you need to put out there, you know what, like as I'm developing this community here of people who listen from the gutter to greatness, and you said, you know what, there's something I want to learn about, or I need to know, or I want support with. and there's people out there that are listening, what would that one thing be that you feel God has put on your heart and commissioned you to throw out there so that someone could say, yeah, you know, I got my brother. I got these resources. I got this idea. I got this whatever support. What might that be?
Number one, better understanding my numbers, right? Because there are certain costs associated with this. You don't even think about it. You know what I mean? Until they come up in the reports and you're like, damn, I forgot how, you know, better understanding my numbers and better understanding how to be innovative, more innovative. We're a very innovative company, but be more innovative with the way that we do things. And, you know, because we pride ourselves on doing things that hadn't been done before. So, you know, you could look at the brand, right? If you say, and I'm saying, for instance, you look at a Nike will say, swoosh, Nike, just do it. That's it.
Right.
Adidas may say Adidas. You know what I'm saying? Under Armour, they say Under Armour, we built this house. That's it.
Right.
But you look at a brand like OOOG brand, and it says, earn not given, do more, say less, deuces to excuses, God's gift. There are several ways that we market and promote our brand, right? Like, and to keep it moving around, because we're meeting people where they are, right?
Right.
So legacy, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people subscribe to legacy, you know what I'm saying? Like, we did the Guy and New Edition tour, Legacy. We had everybody wearing the legacy suits, all the guys having the legacy suits, because that's what spoke to them. But there are different things that we do that no other brand does. So, you know, we could have a whole sports line with just earn not given.
Right. And you know your brand, you know, I think is dope and unique, because to me, your brand is all about a shift in mindset, right? So it's all about having this growth mindset, this strength mentality that, you know, life is more of a marathon and not a sprint, that you can do anything is possible, but you got to work hard for it. So like when I talk about a change in mindset, I came up with an acronym that really don't mean anything, but it does mean something. So WAGGLE, right? It sounded like Fraggle was a way to remember it to me, but WAGAL, right? And so welcome all challenges. So, you know what, that any challenge that, you know, bring it on, bring the challenge on. It's good, right? And these are the things that I associate your brand with. Anticipate that there's going to be obstacles. So when there's challenges, there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be obstacles, but your greatness comes from your effort. So that's the G in there. That greatness comes from your effort, because if you put the work in and you earn it, you can outdo anybody if you work hard, right? And then, you know what, appreciate criticism. So it's okay to be criticized. It's okay to hear what others are saying, and for somebody to disagree with you, or to somebody to correct your stuff, because it might stink a little bit so you can get better. And the last is let others inspire you. So and let others inspire you. So WAGAL, and that all is about what your brand is about to me, because it's about letting others inspire you. It's about your greatness. It's about all of these things, about earning it, not giving. It's about God's gifts. It's about being a legacy. It's about all of these things. And that's what your brand is about, a growth mindset. And so, you know, and I say all this to you because at the end of the day, that's what this show is about, from the gutter to greatness. So when I brought, you know, and I'm gonna put it out there. You know, so me and my man here had a private conversation, y'all. So I said to him, I said, yo, I got this gutter to greatness thing that I want to do, and I want to get out there. But that's what gutter to greatness is, brother. It's about the shift in mindset, and how do we move people from their gutter to their greatness, and how do we get people from out of this mindset that's fixed and that's stuck into this strength, growth, championship mindset, into their greatness. And so that's what this is all about, me. And so what I want to do is I want to create clothing that represents it too. So, like and you see, and that's where my mindset is. So yeah, I came to the brother and said like, how do we do that? So we're still pondering and throwing ideas around, y'all, and I'm hoping for a potential collaboration at some point in time. So yeah, I'm putting it out there because when you put it out there to the universe, it comes back to you. But I say all this to say that's what your brand embodies to me, is that strength, that growth mindset, the championship mindset. And so, you know what, I'm thinking, as we're sitting here and we're talking, how do you continue to grow this brand and move it into the space of changing mindsets and this championship mindset, but now getting it in front of all these teams or sports teams or places or people that it matters. So at the end of the day, because you know what, how do people identify with things like earned and not given, and wearing it as a sense of pride on their back and getting it in front of the right places, the right people, the right things. You got a dope thing going on, man. And I see God speaking to you and to me, saying that you're hitting this bump, but you're about to move into things get rocky before it gets right. And things, it's about to be shaky, and you could either stop or you could dig extra and find those diamonds. And those diamonds is about to come. And I think you've already seen some of them diamonds, but you're about to hit some bigger ones if you stick with it, brother. They're like, don't give up, because you're moving and you're shifting from your gutter to your greatness by not allowing anybody to stop or freeze your success, regardless of how many struggles that you might be facing right now.
Oh, I definitely appreciate that, man. I appreciate the love, the support, and the concern. Like, nobody giving up nothing. Like the how you spoke, like getting in front of the teams. Like, so this is the direction we look to move in. It's like there are a lot of high school teams right now that wear Triple OG brand. So we'll make travel, travel suits for them. So they'll wear these suits when they travel from gym to gym or field to field. That says earn, not given. We incorporate their school logo, the players' numbers, things of that nature, and they stand on that. We also have done it with do more, say less. We've also done it with legacy, right? And then we've for the Withrow Tigers in Cincinnati, we made Tiger Pride athletic football. Tiger Pride football. So we made we make stuff for the teams, right? Mm-hmm. We design for other brands. We design for other companies, other entities. We don't just do Triple OG brand. So to what you're speaking on, I mean, I do that in my sleep. You know what I mean? I want to make sure you like what I'm doing, but we do that in our sleep, and that's kind of like one of the things we're focused on moving forward. While we love doing Triple O, we have plenty of sub brands within Triple OG brand that I just named, right? But so we do this all the time because we're constantly having to recreate ourselves. Like say when a brand like Nike came in, that was the brand. All they had to do was just hit you with different styles, right? Because that's the way it was. But now we on this computer, these algorithms switch so much, you have to constantly recreate yourself. You can't keep posting the same content. You got to new stuff, hit them with new stuff, and don't let your message get lost in there. The message still stays the same. We just say it a different way. But that's what takes your order from, I'm gonna order 2 jogging suits to let me order 5.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have many people that spend money with us, and their order might be $1,200, but it's not all the same logo. They're different logos, they're different colors, but I bet you I could sell you the same suit 3 times. I just do it 3 different ways, all within Triple OG brand, because that's how much we are on top of our marketing, our branding right now. You know what I'm saying? We know how to brand. So, that's where I see this thing moving further. I mean, moving toward. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I see it. And I think, we're going to talk offline because I got access and I think I got a network and I got a long contact list of schools and education and other pieces that I think we can open up and support what you're doing and, off the love and just see how there could be more representation of this because it's such a positive brand. And that's exactly what we're talking about earlier is getting this positivity out there and of somebody who's walking it and talking it. And that's like even when we talked about D1 and what he said about the other artists is like you're walking it and you're talking it, and then you're putting a product out there that represents what you really want to do, right. Versus putting a product out of there that that'd be like you saying all this and then the product that you put up that said pimps up, hoes down. Right. Like, and that's what I'm saying, right? So if you represent Triple OG and you saying omnipotent opportunities on God, but then you said, hey, Triple OG is original gangster and it's pimps up, hoes down, and that's what you start putting out there, that would be to me, that's like, yo, and there's gonna be people that love it. Like I done gave you an idea, right? But there's going to be people out there that love it. But at the same time, it's not what you want to represent or put out there, and you're not doing that.
You can't.
And that's what I respect. That's what I think D1 is trying to say, and he's trying to say it with love. But these brothers is clapping back because they're not hearing it. And sometimes those demons speak louder than anything. Like that demon is saying to, like, yo, that's gonna mess up your money. Like, yo, you need to smack them in the mouth for talking about you instead of saying, yo, like I said, that whole waggle and letting others inspire you, and accepting criticism. Like, yo, I instead of being like, yo, I hear it, I understand it, and you know what, you might be right. Let me learn from the young bull. And let me say, yo, if you're doing that, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to change, and it's time for me to get out there exactly what God wants from me, and God wants something bigger for me. And yeah, I got this huge platform. I'm gonna start aligning it, and instead of with the Triple OG brand putting up pimps up, hoes down, which I know you ain't doing, right? You're gonna put out things that represent omnipotent opportunities on God, but you're gonna make it look sexy to the gangsters too.
Yeah, but look, it's omnipotent opportunities of God.
Of God, okay, yeah,
of God, yeah.
Of God.
He said omnipotent opportunities on God, like nah, it's of God.
Of God, on God.
I just caught that.
Hey, God is in there, and I definitely want to represent correctly. But you understand what I'm saying, though. Like I think
do. I do, but you know how change is. You know how change is. Like Ross would never take that advice from a guy like that. He only gonna take advice from somebody like Jay. You know what I'm saying?
But that's sad to me. You know what? Because God sends you messengers in different ways. You know what? So and sometimes God, he reveals himself differently. And I know people say like, oh, you only take it if you're married, only take advice from married people, or if you're a millionaire, only take advice from billionaires. You know what? But God ain't really worried about your wallet or your marital status. If he's sending you a message, you never know how or what form that message is going to come in, because he might want you to hear it. And so you can either take it the easy way and listen to it how he sent it, or keep doing what you're doing. And you know what? Even if Ross is successful and he's a multi-millionaire, you know what? There's some stuff that God might want him to do different in his soul, for his soul to get right. And you know what? Just because he has monetary success doesn't mean he has soul success. And I'm not judging it, because he might be ready to go to the pearly gates and be walking through clear and clean. I can't tell you, because I don't rock with I don't know the brother like that. But at the end of the day, that's not my place or my responsibility. But it's just sad that people aren't willing to accept messages from messengers, that may be of less financial stature than them.
Right. Yeah, it's I don't think it's financial stature. I just think that he probably somebody that he would consider not to be on his level. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
you know, and that, you know, he called the guy little man. So when you talk to people like that, that lets you know like he not finna hear nothing from him. If that same advice would have came from another space that he considered to be greater than him, then he would have took it, because then you got to think about perception too, of how his brand is being perceived. You let this little guy tell you how to move, now you moving different. It opens him up to all kind of ridicule. But you know, it's understanding movement. It's understanding the process of movement. You know what I'm saying? Like he might take that advice, but he'll never let it know it came from him. You know what I
Right.
mean? He'll never let it show that it came from him. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, man, you just look at these cats and how they move, man. Like everything calculated out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I might give you some advice and you'll take it and run with it. Like, yo, the homie Lotto, you know, said this, that, and that. You ain't thinking nothing about it. But you ain't worried about how, you know, having this big name and how it's perceived in the public and what people gonna say on social media, this, that, and the other. It's a whole lot of other stuff in the middle of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it ain't what it seems. It's like you think that 1+1 = 2, and in that world it don't.
I get
It
it.
do not.
I
You
know,
feel me?
yeah, and you know, sometimes it's about it not making sense to us, but you know, and honestly, I guess it doesn't have to, because God works in mysterious ways, and so if God wants Ross to be moved and do something different, you know, he's going to take it in, like you said, and he might not show it to everybody else, but it'll get there, and he'll make those changes. And just thinking about that as we close out here, and in about 60 seconds or less, if somebody was going to duplicate some of your success and they needed to shift from their gutter to their greatness, what would those three things be for you?
Number one is you have to be intentional about what it is that you're doing. Once you identify the path, you know what I mean? Once the path has been revealed, you have to be intentional. And everything that you do has to point back to the same message. The main thing got to always remain the main thing at hand, regardless of whatever else you're doing. It's got to still be the main thing. It's what you stand for. It's your message. It's who you are. And as long as that's clear and you understand that that's clear, no matter what you do in relation to it, it's going to come out the way that God intended for it to come out, because you are at this point purpose driven.
Right. No, thank you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. As I close out here, I always close out with this mindfulness minute. And you know, I just want people to really hear that regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what levels of success that you have or haven't had, that God has a purpose, has a plan for you, and that He wants those two things to match, right? And I'm very clear that out of today, the one thing I got out of my brother Lotto is that his messaging and his branding is tight, but he's also living what he's preaching. He's living what he's teaching. He's living who he is. He's putting it out in his clothing. He's putting it out in his message. They're meeting each other. And so to really live in that, I think like the brother D1 said, it's hard to live in two worlds. It's hard to be on one side or the other, or 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And my advice to you is jump all in, and jump all in for what God's plan for you is. And don't be afraid of who's watching or what it is, and just do what you were commissioned and really wanted to do, regardless of what you think everybody else wants from you. You know what you need to do, but take the time, speak to God. God is going to talk to you. If you take some time and just be still, God will speak back to you. You will hear his voice. You will know exactly what you need to do and exactly when to do it. Just you got to be willing to do it. And you got to be willing to do it regardless of who's watching or what the rest of the world thinks. And, you know, that has been our time today. Another episode from the Gutter to Greatness. I appreciate everybody for coming out. We will continue to bring you the moving from the gutter to the greatness mentality. Until later, you know, next episode, we'll see y'all next time. Same place, same channel.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode. So head on over to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener that posts a review on iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing for a $25,000 private epic VIP day with Dr. Miller himself. Be sure to head on over to Gutter to Great